Yeah, let's talk about manage the interest rate risk. Gap analysis. Gap analysis is one try to analyze the difference between the bank's variable rate asset and the variable rate liabilities. So when interest rate increase, what happened to the bank asset, liability, and the profit? Suppose we use the example below. The interest rate in the market increased by 2%. So how could this affect the bank profit? First, look at the fixed rate asset. Fixed rate asset means no matter what happened to the interest rate in the market, the rate charged on those assets keep the same. So the increase in the interest rate in the market will not affect the revenue generated by the fixed rate asset. Similarly, change in the interest rate in the market will not affect the expenses charged on the fixed rate liability. But for the variable rate asset, the increase in the interest rate has an impact. Because the interest rate in the market increased to 2%, which means the asset bank lend out as loans, they can also increase interest rate charged by 2%. So here we can actually calculate the additional revenue generated by this increase in the 2%. This $150 million variable rate asset can earn additional 2% rate equal 0.02. So use 150 multiplied by 0.02, we actually get $3 million additional revenue. But on the other hand, the liability side, this bank has a 210 million variable rate liability. When the interest rate increase, means the bank also need to pay additional interest. This additional interest is a bank expenses, which can be calculated by 210 multiplied by increase in the interest rate 0.2. So we get a $4.2 million here. So bank has additional $3 million revenue, but the bank has additional 4.2 million expenses. In this case, does the bank increase the profit or reduce the profit? Actually, profit reduced. We can calculate it by 3 million subtract 4.2 million equal negative 1.2 million. So that would be the loss of the bank. That's the reduction in the profit in the bank is not good news. Sometimes people also use the negative gap to calculate the loss here. What's the meaning of the negative gap? Negative gap is the difference between the variable rate asset and the variable rate liability. In this case, 150 subtract 210, we get negative $60 million. Because the number here is negative, that's the reason we call a negative gap. And sometimes the bank may have a positive gap. In this particular example, because of the negative gap, $60 million, if the interest rate increased by 2%, we can simply use this negative $60 million multiplied by increase in the interest rate, and we can get a negative $1.2 million. This amount is the same as this amount. So this negative gap tells if the interest rate increased by 2%, this bank profit is going to reduce by $1.2 million. So that's the how we manage the interest rate risk. We use this example to illustrate.